arrival was almost unspeakable.
We are all evil in some form or another. I'm not guilty.
The dead won't bother you. It's the living you gotta worry about.
If I couldn't keep them there with me whole, at least I felt that I could keep their skeletons.
Hello and welcome to the Bad Taste Crime Podcast. I'm Vicky.
I'm Rachel.
And we are back again.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Happy winter, summer,
I don't know.
whatever.
Wasn't it just Groundhog's Day? Did that happen?
Oh, did I forget?
They had the 5K in Woodstock. That was like
yeah.
but I think it's almost Groundhog's Day. It might be next weekend. I'm not sure.
See, we should know because we live like 10-ish minutes away from the town where they shot the movie Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray, which is pretty cool.
And the guy who was the insurance agent, like his friend that he runs into as he's like walking around, you know, was at the 5K in Woodstock when they ran it. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Murray comes here sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
He was here like last year. I had people texting me like, Bill Murray just walked down the sidewalk. Like, and it's cute that if you ever go to the town, they have little like
love Woodstock,
like souvenirs and like little plates. Like, this is where this one thing happened in the movie. It's really cute.
We live near there.
So we should know what Puxatawny
I don't know.
doing, but I don't know.
I don't think it matters here, to be honest with you.
I don't think it matters at all.
All right.
What mystical powers does a groundhog have? Like, I understand the hoi polloi of it all, but like, he's a groundhog. It's not real. It's not real, darling.
Let's go to the newsroom.
Fit to breathe, our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad.
We have non-related groundhog-related news.
Non-groundhog related.
Non-groundhog related.
This is not the Groundhog Podcast.
Yeah, no, not today. It's not.
Today's upstate, did Phil see his shadow? We'll let you fucking know.
This week, our news comes from Japan, where they have seen an influx of seniors who are getting lonely.
Aww.
You know what I mean?
Aww. That's so sad.
They have one of the longest living populations.
Yeah.
Japan does.
Good quality of
and
life.
Generally like happiest communities than in some other places. There's definitely like you look at stuff like Norway, Sweden, some of those places are really good. But the older adults are just like, they're finding that older adults are becoming more lonely as they age. So what they're seeing is a trend of Japanese elderly women, it seems like, age 65 or older that are committing crimes on purpose so that they can go to prison because in prison there's people all around. There's like a sense of community. They get free health care.
Ethel,
they get fed.
Join a book club, Ethel. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Girl.
They have talked to some people in prison and it seems like the most common crime is like shoplifting. That you go to prison for?
Not armed robbery.
And they said there's very good people in prison. It's a very stable life.
You know what? I actually watched a documentary recently about that there are a lot of old people in Japanese prisons.
Yeah.
Because like their prisons are pretty like clean and like well kept compared to like a lot of different countries, I guess. But I didn't look into the reason as to why there were so many old people. I just figured it was people who were like committed to life, who were just living longer because of their fabulous healthcare system.
Yeah.
But no, they're oldies being like, I'm going to jail to see my pals.
Yeah. And there's even like I think it's like factory work requirement, like when you're in these facilities
that's what
too.
I saw is like they all have little jobs.
Yeah. And they're like, we don't care that we have to like go do these jobs while we're in prison because we're housed, we're fed. They have free healthcare and elder care, companionship, like with other people.
Sad.
Yeah. So
that is funny.
That's a thing.
Life.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? This might be generalizing, but because it's Japan, I'm just imagining there being like a granny league of the Yakuza. Like they're
I
tattooed. Like
I would not be surprised, honestly. Truly. Yeah. we are going to move on to Netflix and Kill, where this week we are talking about American Manhunt O.J. Simpson, which just came out.
Yes. I haven't gotten the chance yet.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily something that was on my radar because like the first one, it's like American Manhunt. I think it's the Boston Bomber was the first one that they did.
Oh, okay.
It's the second in like what I'm going to assume is a series of these.
Yeah.
And this one happened to show up on my Netflix, and I watched the trailer and was like, okay, this seems kind of interesting. Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. So the O.J. Simpson case is, in my opinion, one of these cases that's been around for a long time. It's controversial, so it's highly talked about.
Totally.
And has also been sort of like done
to death. Literally. That's what I was just thinking.
And
do you really need another one?
Yeah. But this one I thought was really interesting because they really got together like literally everybody.
Oh, wow.
In one documentary.
Oh, so it was like
you
official
had
as balls.
Yeah. So you had the cops you had most of the cops, like the 4 major ones that had investigated. Like Mark Furman is in this.
Oh my God.
And like the lead investigator, like a bunch of and you have people from obviously like journalists and stuff, they were covering it. Like Geraldo Rivera is in this.
Oh my God.
Documentary. But you also have, I forget what his name is, but the guy attorney.
Robert Kardashian. No, I'm just kidding.
No. on the prosecution's team, the one that was with Marsha Clark.
I know what you mean. I don't remember.
He's in it.
Oh my God.
And talks about the experience. OJ's like sports agent is in it. One of the guys who was on the defense team is in it.
Whoa.
So you have all of these.
They got everybody.
Every single side of things.
The guy who stitched the glove.
Yeah.
The maker
they have
of the freezer.
Ron Goldman's sister is in it. She's in it discussing kind of things that were happening. Yeah. So like
Netflix money rounding up everybody.
It is interesting in a way that it kind of, like I said, puts everything together. And it also did I love a good typography moment, and there's a lot of good typography moments in this documentary.
Click.
No, oh my God, no. Do you know what typography is?
No.
It's like the art of using lettering and fonts and stuff.
Oh my God. I'm so stupid. I was thinking court stenographer.
I figured.
Like, I was like, oh, typology. That's the girl who clicks.
No, typography. It's like the art of fonts, basically.
Well, goodbye, everybody.
And the use of them. It's okay.
It's
okay. They have a lot of good stuff typography-wise in this. But they do a good job of like pointing out the evidence that was included and the stuff that was not included. And
which
they have
overlooked a lot.
One of the members of the jury is interviewed for this documentary, and she talks about like the way things were presented at trial and kind of like why they did this one thing, and maybe it just, I felt it was like pretty well done.
Okay.
And about as close to unbiased as you can get. Because truly, like, it's had
a polarizing one,
and they had like all sides of things, and they talk about the implication of race. Obviously, that became a huge thing in this, both because O.J. Simpson is black and because they have this cop that they sort of exposed as being racist, and
and the race riots are going on at that time.
They talk about Rodney King and the aftermath of the verdict in those cases, and like so.
It's a powder keg.
It was really interesting. It was very, very interesting.
I'm very interested in
I would recommend it.
I'm going to watch it.
Also because personally, I feel like when a lot of people talk about the OJ case, they stop at the murder trial, like the not guilty verdict of the murder trial. But after that, there was a civil case, and then OJ gets arrested again for robbery and ends up serving, he gets sentenced to like 33 years and gets paroled.
Yeah.
And then lives outside on TikTok for a while and then dies. God. So like all of that is in this.
He's looking up at us now.
Nice. So, like, I appreciate that they looked at, because now, of course, he died.
Right.
He did. They were able to just, like, do the full timeline of the cases and stuff that happened after that.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think it's worth checking out.
Totally.
I think it's worth checking out. That's what I would say. American Manhunt, O.J. Simpson on Netflix.
Yes.
Check it out. This is that part of the show where we say content may not be appropriate for all listeners.
It may not.
Yeah, this is, I don't even know what kind of warnings I can give.
You know, okay,
I don't really have any.
Mine
truthfully.
does have a couple.
It's got some death, for sure.
Yeah, death for sure. Mine doesn't have death.
Mine does.
But mine has like kidnapping, throwing people in the backs of cars, tying people up, threatening people with a gun, you know, just general nefarious behavior.
Fair.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? Well,
You tell me.
I will.
It's
I'm
your
about
topic.
to. I'm about to. So we are talking about bank robberies today.
Ta-da.
Wanted some good heists, right?
Yeah, heisty.
But
Feeling
also, I really wanted to cover this because I found this case that is like probably one of the strangest
Ooh,
bank robbery
the
cases
case
I've ever heard.
inspired the topic. I love that.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
cool.
But also, we haven't done bank robberies in like 100 episodes.
Forever.
So it's about due.
Yeah.
About due time.
I
okay.
have not done bank robberies.
You have not, no,
Yeah.
since you've been here. So,
We're popping the cherry.
like I said, this is like the strangest bank robbery story I've ever heard.
Oh my God.
It comes to us by way of Japan.
Okay, Japan.
There's a little hint in the beginning of the episode for you.
Is it a granny robbery?
It's not. It's not.
Please tell me it's like an Ocean's 11
It's really
with
not.
like a bunch of grannies.
No.
Excuse me, I'd like to make a withdrawal of everything. Bang, bang, bang.
It's not that.
Then I'm leaving.
So instead of starting with like the history of everything like I normally would, I'm going to start right from the top.
Oh my God,
With
we're
the
going
bank
rogue
robbery.
today.
So on January 26th, 1948, a middle-aged man walked into Taikoku Bank in Shinamachi. This person was well-dressed and identified himself as a city health inspector and epidemiologist.
Nice.
And he arrived at the bank shortly before closing time.
Seems like a stand-up guy.
Yes. And do you know what an epidemiologist is?
Is that like needles?
It's from what I understand, the study of how disease spreads in like groups of people.
Oh, like epidemic
Yeah.
epidemiologist.
Yeah. Okay. So after speaking to the managers, they got all of the employees like down into the sort of lobby area of the bank.
Because he's like, I'm going to inspect your health.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
He told the staff that he had been sent by U.S. occupation authorities to inoculate them against a sudden outbreak of dysentery.
Whoa.
So he gives each person a pill
This
and
is clever.
a few drops of liquid, and soon after, 12 people died.
What?
Yeah. There were like 2 survivors. They were able to get to the hospital, but 12 people die.
Oh my God.
At the time,
I'm starting to think he's not a health inspector.
maybe, maybe not. Maybe not.
Let's listen.
At the time, the vaults were open, but he left with only around $185 in cash, which was about $4,000.
Oh,
but it
yeah.
was, it was
Still.
bank. It was
Yeah.
a whole ass bank.
Yeah.
And everyone was dead.
Dream big.
Yeah. And he disappears into the night.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah. And the fact that there was so much of the loot that was left behind
Yeah.
gave no hint at a motive.
Right.
Like for these murders and for the robbery. It was just kind of like, he didn't really take that much money.
Yeah.
Left all these people dead.
Oh my God.
Weird. Okay.
Very weird.
So, of course, police began searching for the man right away. They had somehow managed to get a witness or two because it seems like they were able to create a composite sketch, which was then sort of circulated in hopes that somebody would recognize him. As it happens, there had been 2 very similar cases in the prior, like, weeks to a year or so of the robbery and poisoning. So in Japan, as you know, there's this custom of, it seems to me like it's mostly businessmen that exchange cards when they
Oh,
meet.
yes.
I always think of King of the Hill, to be honest with you. There's the episode where he goes to Japan and he's looking for his dad and they're like exchanging business cards. Okay. But that's like, as they greet, they exchange a business card.
Yeah.
Contains names and
Very
contact
profesh.
information. Yeah.
See, it kind of gives me American Psycho.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, those business cards. Yes.
It's a glossy cardstock.
So, in each of the 2 prior bank robberies, the man had presented a business card which read Health and Welfare Defense Bureau.
Okay.
In one case, he used a similar story of an outbreak of dysentery and needing to inoculate those at the bank. He gave a few drops of liquid to each person to drink, and then he waited around for like 10 minutes, but nothing was happening. Like, nobody was dropping dead.
Right.
And after about 10 minutes, because he was like, oh, there's going to be some other guys coming behind me with disinfectant to like disinfect things, right? And so he's like waiting for them to arrive. And then when no one appeared, he was like, oh, it's taking kind of a long time for them to get here, like a weirdly amount of long time. Let me go see what's going on.
And then
he flees.
off into the night.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
He flees the scene. And he just leaves his business card behind. But it didn't.
Idiot.
I don't think that one had any like specific contact information on it.
Right.
Okay.
I am a health inspector.
Yes.
Source, trust me,
official. Promise. The second instance happened about a week before the poisoning at Taikoku Bank. This time, when the well-dressed man arrived, he handed over a business card that read, Technical Officer at the Ministry of Health and Welfare, Doctor of Medicine, Yamaguchi Jiro, and Tokyo Metropolitan Government Quarantine Division.
Wow. That's a mouthful.
It is. Lot for a business card.
Yeah.
Although it's probably written in Japanese, so
You know how like sometimes when you watch like foreign films or listen to stuff, it's like in the other language they say like 5 million words, and in English it's like I went over there. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Maybe in Japanese.
I'm sure it's much
like
shorter.
Very short.
yeah. So again, at this one, he told the employees that there was a dysentery outbreak nearby and said that, quote, the occupying forces came by car to disinfect the dormitory, and the person in charge there, a Mr. Otani, came back to this bank today to make a deposit. So we need to disinfect the people, the cash, the ledgers, and each room, end quote.
Clever.
Okay. Just to be sure, the bank manager checked to see if a Mr. Otani had actually been there to make a deposit. And when he looked, he found that a different person with the name Otani from the same dorm had made a deposit. And so they were like, well, maybe it's this guy and it's just like a mistake on the ledger, or like you have a mistaken name, like you misheard it and maybe it is this guy. Right. So he's like, well, he might have made a deposit, so that seems plausible.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So he was like, this might be a mistake. And the guy who was there from the health department said, you know, I'm not really sure, but like these people from the occupying forces are going to be by in a few minutes. So like they'll be able to clear it up. It's fine. So he then put a few drops of liquid from some bottle on like the checks to like disinfect and then leaves.
I bet it was his pee.
No.
He seems like a creepy weirdo.
No. So he just does this and leaves.
Yeah.
Flees the scene again. Never to be seen.
What the hell?
Both of these robbery attempts, although they had obviously been reported to police, they were not reported on in the press.
Okay.
So there would have been a very slim chance that this would have been like a copycat situation, and that it wasn't like the same person doing all
He's got
three
a
of
signature,
these.
a creepy, weird signature.
Right.
Ew.
Yeah. As the investigation into the culprit at Taikoku Bank was ramping up, police put together this task force that was investigating in secret. There was like a complete moratorium on like any information getting out. Yeah. Japan edition.
Ooh, watch that.
According to Infinite Corridor, Inspector Naruchi Hideo wrote in a memoir just before his death where he said, quote, in the end, the only person who could be identified as the culprit based on his alibi and other factors was Lieutenant Colonel Suwa, a medical doctor who belonged to Unit 731.
What?
His physique and appearance matched exactly with those of the culprit described by surviving witnesses from Taikoku Bank, Yasuda Bank, and Mitsubishi Bank.
Oh my God.
So he's like,
him.
this is who I think. Although they had suspicions, there isn't any evidence that shows police really did any meaningful investigation into Lieutenant Colonel Sua by questioning family and neighbors, nor was there a Lieutenant Colonel Sua who was on the list of medical officers in the Japanese army.
What?
Although, quote, the people who fit the description were Colonel Sua Kaizaburo and Lieutenant Colonel Sua Noriaki.
Okay.
So, like, could have been these guys. The name didn't quite match, or like the rank that he had said didn't quite match.
Yeah.
But also, like,
Weird.
they didn't really investigate that for reasons that will become clear.
I was going to say, they better just not be like sitting on their asses. Oh, I guess we should probably get to that bank robbery thing.
For reasons that become very clear. Yeah. So the investigation continued into a potential link between members of the Japanese Army Unit 731 and the bank robberies. But all of a sudden, like, one of the top brass in the investigation was called down to the Metropolitan Police Department for an emergency meeting. Oh. It was here that the sort of like big chiefs, the big guys, informed investigating officers that Unit 731 was being prepped to go to war with the Soviets.
What?
And if the investigation of the bank robberies pointed to anyone in Unit 731, it could cause trouble for the U.S. military. And they, like, needed to back off these sort of lines of inquiry.
This is crazy.
They're like, stop.
This needs
Just
to be a
stop
show.
looking into this. I think they have done some, like, movies and stuff about this.
Sneaky.
Yeah. So
they're like, we have bigger fish to fry, essentially.
yeah, they're like, stop
This
looking
is an
into this.
international matter.
Yeah.
Look the other way.
Yeah, the investigation was essentially strong-armed by people in power to stop looking at at military members and to just, like, do something else.
Wow.
But all of that information was not revealed until, like, years and years later, years and years after this. Okay. But that happened.
That's crazy.
Suddenly, on August 21st, 1948, about 7 months after the robbery, a man named Hirasawa Sadamichi was arrested. I saw in multiple places that Hirasawa was described as this, like, quiet artist and tempera painter who didn't really bother anybody, definitely didn't have any knowledge of poisons. Was just like,
he's like, all I know about is tempura and paint.
Yeah,
that's
he's like, all I do is make art. Like a classical Japanese artist, right? Okay.
Cool.
So they just picked this guy up. It seems like out of nowhere.
Yeah, like, how did they even get to this guy?
He was brought into the station for questioning, specifically about the business cards.
He's like, is this for the interview for, like, the criminal artist?
Yeah. So they start to ask him about these business cards because, again, like, the exchanging of business cards is a very common thing.
Yeah.
In one of the prior robberies, the suspect had used a card that had the name Matsui Uru, and although they had determined that such a person existed, he had an alibi for the robberies. Hirasawa did say that he had received a card from Matsui, who had given out over, like, 500 cards, by the way, to just everybody.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But that he couldn't locate it because it had been in his wallet, which was then pickpocketed from him. Okay. Police discovered that a similar amount of money that had been taken from the bank robbery was at his residence when they searched it. But Hirasawa would not say where it had come from.
Ooh.
Now, here's the thing. I saw this a lot of places as I was looking around. There is this theory that he was doing, shall we say, more explicit painting.
He was doing furry porn.
On the side. Well, not like that. This is classic Japan. Like,
So
1940s Japan.
And
I'm just saying. So
that's like
has
the
been
joke among artists online is like that's how you make money is you do like furry porn.
Oh, for sure.
Commission.
For sure.
So that's what he was doing. He was just doing like sketchy, explicit art. And like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't want to say where the money was from.
Yeah.
He was drawing, like, weird wieners.
He didn't want to like ruin his reputation. He didn't want, so
makes sense.
he's like, I just got this money. I'm not,
And you know what? I don't know if that's your right in Japan, but that's your right.
Well, at that, it was the 1940s. So like,
Right.
it was very frowned upon. It's,
Yeah, totally. But like, no, like you don't have to talk to the police, I feel. That's not their business.
I mean, yeah, about
He's like,
that.
I didn't do crimes, but the rest of it, I'm just going to keep to myself.
Yeah. Hirasawa had claimed that at the time of the robberies, he was taking a stroll in the vicinity of the bank. He was just like walking the neighborhood. Something they couldn't confirm or verify.
Right, because he's just walking.
Right. Interestingly enough, Hirasawa was identified as the culprit by some witnesses, but the actual survivors of the poisonings said that he was not the guy who was at the bank.
Oh, I hate that.
Like the people who were actually there. Yeah. After hours of interrogation, Hirasawa confessed to all of the robberies and poisonings. However, these confessions were almost immediately recanted when allegations of torture and coercion to force a confession were made. Something that seems to be not uncommon when it comes to cases in Japan. I think this happened in the last case from Japan.
It did. I was
going to
say, we talked about it.
Yeah.
They're known for like, hey, it's time for you to confess or I'm going to kick you right in your neck.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
it's not
don't
great.
do that.
So
not that we don't do that here. But
he's like trying to recant his confessions now. Mm-hmm. At this point, they had zero physical evidence and a few very, very circumstantial things, right? But at this point in time, in the 40s, the criminal code in Japan saw confessions as evidence. Oh. And they were referred to literally as the queen of evidence.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
So the case goes to trial.
Who needs a queen?
I don't know.
I hate that.
The case goes to trial. Okay. So all of the issues we've already discussed were in the spotlight during the trial. Although there were 6 witnesses to Hirasawa's alibi, the court decided that there wasn't any evidence of this. So they were like, no, they're not. They're not witnesses. As far as the business card goes, there was one inconsistency that sort of changed things with that. At the time the card was received by Hirasawa, Matsui had handwritten his home address on the card. But the card used at the Taikoku Bank didn't have anything written on it.
Oh, okay. It was just blank?
Yeah. It was like from the same guy, but it was a blank card.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's also an issue of something called Korsakoff syndrome. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I don't think so.
So Korsakoff syndrome is a disorder.
Japanese.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. It's a disorder of the central nervous system characterized by amnesia, deficits in explicit memory, and confabulation.
Oh my God.
It's most often associated with excessive alcohol use. But in this case, Hirasawa's defense claimed that the confession was based on partial insanity as a result of developing Korsakoff syndrome from a rabies inoculation.
What the hell? I mean, it's the 40s. Whatever. They were like, sorry, we accidentally gave you a disease.
Yeah.
You also
and I
still have rabies.
I think later examinations of Hirasawa did show that there was some
neurological thing
something happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. But
he
at the
just
time,
wants to go home and draw weird porn.
Right.
And now he's got diseases and he's in jail.
Yeah.
And he has rabies.
I'll also say when he presented this, the court found this not to be true.
Oh my God.
Nope. Now, originally, the poison was said to be a cyanide compound, but for some reason, by the time the verdict came down, it had been changed to potassium cyanide.
Oh, that's different.
And said Hirasawa had it in his home, even though none had been found.
Oh, whatever.
Now, it's thought that the substance was nitrile hydrocyanide or acetone cyanohydrin.
Nice. Yum.
And part of this is because of the amount of time that it took. It was not like with cyanide, it's like instant. Like you foam at the mouth and you pass out. And this took like a minute or two to take effect. It wasn't like people instantly dropping to the floor.
Right. So then you can't,
They also had said in some places that the type of poison that it was, you could only acquire from like the military. Like it was a very
Oh, now we're back to the military.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But not according to what happened in court.
Well, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Yes, exactly. Yada, yada. So The trial concluded, and in July 1950, Hirasawa was found guilty and sentenced to death.
No.
An appeal was filed the same day and was eventually dismissed in 1951.
No.
The same day that was dismissed, another appeal was filed, also eventually being dismissed by the Supreme Court in 1955.
This poor guy.
There's a little more back and forth before the conviction was affirmed and the death sentence was finalized. Since recanting his confession, Hirasawa continued to maintain his innocence and would file a request for retrial 18 times.
Yeah.
But every single one was rejected.
Oh my God.
Now, as the various ministries of justice came and went in Japan, none of them agreed to sign the death warrant, as there were very obvious questions surrounding his guilty verdict. So Hirasawa was forced to just stay on death row in this sort of limbo because
I hope they gave him like a pen and paper.
He was
some art.
He was sentenced to death, but everybody refused to actually sign his death
he's just
warrant.
like in prison.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he
this
would
poor
stay there for
guy.
32 years.
No. Oh my God. He just wanted to draw like weird porn.
Yeah.
That is so
and
sad. He had a dream.
I mean, also good stuff, like
that
art,
too,
like
but,
classic
he
art,
knows
not
what
erotic
is.
art.
Get a passion for both.
And he did, while he was just hanging out on death row, he would continue to paint.
Yay.
And he wrote an autobiography called My Will, the Taikoku Bank Case.
Oh my God.
Now, seemingly,
I hope it's illustrated. I'm going to
by him.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't look.
Wow.
I should have looked. I didn't even think about that.
Research.
I know. I'm a total amateur.
It's okay. I'm going to order it. I'll tell all of you next week.
Now, seemingly the last bid for freedom came when his defense team claimed the statute of limitations ran out in 1985.
Okay.
Under the Criminal Code of Japan, the death penalty has a 30-year statute of limitations.
Wow.
Okay. And Hirasawa was forced to stay there longer because he had been sentenced, but no one had agreed to sign his death warrant.
Right.
But when this argument was taken to court, they actually said that it primarily applies to people who escape from death row and evade capture for 30 years.
Like digging out with a spoon?
I guess, yeah. But
Or
if you can't find them for 30 years, then you're fine.
Oh, hell yeah.
They also said that the clock starts when the death warrant is signed. And because nobody had signed the death warrant, the clock never started.
Oh my God.
And so it wasn't a valid claim for like a statute of limitations.
I'm stressed.
I know.
Stressed for this guy.
Now, unfortunately, Hirasawa passed away in prison in 1987 from pneumonia.
Poor guy.
Shortly before his death, Amnesty International had petitioned the courts for his release, but by that, they had petitioned, and then shortly after he passed away, and so it kind of...
Oh my God, that is so sad.
Yeah. Now, following Hirasawa's death, there was still this huge push for a posthumous retrial, largely spearheaded by Hirasawa's adopted son, Takahiko, which is kind of an interesting story also in itself.
Really?
Yeah. So how he came to be adopted.
Oh my God, twinsies.
Takahiko was the son of Hirasawa supporters. And in college was adopted so he could sort of take up the mantle of pushing for a retrial.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't really find this, but it seems to me like there might be some rules surrounding who can file the documentation, and it has to be a family member.
That makes sense.
But Hirasawa's family was not necessarily interested in it because there was a sort of social stigma, that they didn't really want to be associated with.
That's crazy.
So he adopted him so legally he could still keep
what a nice guy
trying to get a retrial. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, at least he had people who cared about him. I'm so sad.
Right? Is that crazy?
Yes.
So
I'm going to order his book, Deadass.
You should see if you can find it. So Takahiko, along with Hirasawa's attorneys, were able to find evidence of brain damage to support the original claims, along with tons of other evidence disputing the facts at trial and proving Hirasawa's innocence. This was submitted in 2008. Okay. So he had died in the 80s. Remember, it was 87. It was the 19th attempt at a retrial.
Jesus.
Now, unfortunately, in 2013, Takahiko passed away at the age of 54.
Oh my gosh.
This was just before they had planned to submit some additional information to the courts for that same, like the 19th retrial bid. But with the death of Takahiko, the Tokyo High Court said it was dropping the plea for a posthumous retrial, essentially closing the matter. Like I said, there doesn't really seem to be any family left that would want to sort of take up this fight. So unfortunately, that's the end.
Cowabummer.
Cowabummer.
Oh my God. That is so sad. They should have let him do his crazy, weird, wild nude art in peace. And now we never caught the robber. Why were you poisoning people? Only some people and not other ones.
Yeah. And
like,
why was it covered up?
Right.
And why was it covered up?
Right.
Also,
what
crazy.
What level were you in the army? Because I know where you work.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Doing experiments on people.
I just never heard of anybody posing as a health official to be like, here, take this poison.
That's crazy. If anybody gives you something, don't take it.
No.
Be like, no, thank you.
Definitely not.
I'm going to call my pediatrician or my doctor.
Do you? Now I'm having a moment where I'm like, do you go to a pediatrician?
My children do.
I just, fair. I just like the car-shaped bed.
I want a sticker when I go. The regular doctor won't give me one. That's a crazy case.
Thanks.
Okay. Robberies. Have you ever robbed anyone?
No. What a weird way to start.
My God, I'm just making conversations, not being a freak.
I don't know why you're trying to pry into my life like that.
That's true.
No,
really more of a
I can
third date
solidly
question.
say that I have never robbed anybody.
Boring.
I don't think. Not on purpose. I am going to be honest with you. There are times where back in the day when I was hanging out with all my smoking friends, would accidentally steal lighters and stuff.
Oh,
but I've
that's
never
that's everyone does that.
Yeah. But I've never
Purposefully.
with a knife, give me all your money type of
so
rob.
no armed robbery.
Definitely no armed robbery. I can
learning so much
1,000%
about you.
percent say no armed robbery.
That's my favorite part of this podcast is how much I'm getting to know about you. Love burglary. Huge fan of larceny. Larceny. I picked a modern robbery for this one just because I feel like I always do historical ones.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let me
That's okay. I had that covered today.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like when I think of bank robberies, I usually think of Jesse James, looking dapper and sepia tone, pulling up to the local bank and demanding cloth bags stuffed with paper money.
As long as they have a big dollar sign on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like, yeah. Oh, wait, no, that's
the villain.
In the 20s, never mind.
With the mustache.
Yeah, give me all your money, bitch. But in today's world, these crimes can look very different, which is boring. However, one thing in this world never changes, and that's that some people who commit crimes are dumb. They're dumb.
True.
Not everyone, but sometimes it's why did you choose to do this? You know that you're stupid.
We were talking about scamming at work the other day, and somebody said, you gotta be real smart to be a scammer. And I was like, no, you gotta be real smart to be a good scammer.
Yeah, absolutely. Every idiot can be a scammer because it's easy to trick old people.
Yeah, but to be a good
offense.
one, you gotta be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you make the real bucks.
Yeah.
According to you. How do you know so much about it?
I'm not a scammer.
You do have a new grill, diamond encrusted.
I don't.
That kind of makes sense now that I think about it. How dare you accuse me? Yeah, some criminals are dumb. Today's contestants are no exception. And although by the end of this case and as of the present, all of the stolen money has not been recovered and there are other suspects who are still at large, it doesn't mean this crime was planned by geniuses. And it wasn't. In fact, this tale is full of what the Brits would call plonkers, meaning they're about as bright as a London afternoon. For reference, London afternoons are almost always cloudy.
Okay.
It's mad cloudy over there.
Right.
Today, I'm talking about the Securitas Depot robbery, which is not exactly a bank, but I can guarantee that our old pal Jesse James would have died to get his sneaky little fingers into this place. Like its name suggests, this place is a depot, meaning it's a facility which distributes cash to banks in and around England.
So it's like the ones that send out the armored trucks?
Correct. So it's the place money goes before the bank. Okay. So the worker, it's the pre-bank.
The pre-bank bank.
So it ran 24 hours a day.
Okay.
It was like serious. Like it was like not military, but like a very efficient like government facility.
Yeah.
Workers at the depot would receive paper money by way of armored trucks. They would count it, sort it, label it, inventory it. There's a lot of like pictures for this. English crimes are good with that. They like photograph everything. I love it. There were like bags of like 100 pounds and 200 pounds. And like, so it was like super efficient. These sorts of facilities are really common in England. In fact, there were 28 other such facilities in England at the time, which might not seem like a lot, but remember, England is really bloody small compared to us.
What year was this?
2006.
2006. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2006, Colin Dixon, who was the manager at Securitas Depot, was driving in his silver Nissan, just like
okay.
When suddenly he noticed flashing lights behind him. Bugger my ass, he thought. I'm being pulled over. So being a good citizen, he pulled over to...
Bad.
I know, it's really
so
bad. Fun fact, I'm really good at accents, but not that one. For some reason, there's just something wrong with my brain. I can't even do it like funny bad. It's really bad.
This is bad, but keep going.
I don't know why. I can do like every other accent, not offensive. Only white people accents.
Yeah.
But like that one I just can't do. So I'm sorry, everyone. But also I'm not sorry. Sorry for comedy. Sorry for being so
sorry
funny.
for party rocking.
Sorry for... Did you know that in LMFAO, that band, they're like uncle and nephew? That's so weird.
I said they were brothers.
No. Oh. Unless I'm wrong, but I'm not. So he...
All right, then.
So Colin Dixon was being pulled over, and he was like, okay, let me pull over to like whatever side of the road they pull over on. It will never fail to trip me up that people drive on the other side of the road in other countries. I just think it's so strange.
Just don't drive in other countries.
I try not to drive as much as possible. Oh, I'll be Ubering everywhere.
Yeah.
So Colin might have been trying to be a good noodle by pulling over for the piggies, but actually he should not have done this. You see, Colin's position as manager at the depot came with a few stipulations. They were so concerned about security because like all of the money in England would go there pretty much. You know, it was so much money that Colin would actually alternate which car he drove to work. Because his family owned 2 vehicles. So he would like switch off every couple days and he would take different routes to work. And he was told to like really make sure, like look around and make sure he's not being followed, keep track of like the other cars. It was like serious business.
Yeah.
And if he was pulled over by police on his way to or from work, he actually had like a little paper that he was just supposed to like put up to the window that's like, hey, I work for Securitas Depot. I might have money in the car, or like you might be trying to kidnap me. So, you know, if I'm in trouble, I'll follow you to the police station.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then I'll
so there's like protocol involved.
Yeah. So it's
this.
like, I was really surprised.
Yeah.
I was like, he's just like, I get it's an important job and it's a lot of money, but I was like, damn, he's just a manager. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I get it.
Isn't that
I get
nuts?
It. That is
I
nuts,
just
though.
love that he has like a little laminated piece of paper from the government. Like, hello, chaps. I can't get out of the car.
Sorry, locked in.
Sorry, love you. So anyway, fucking Colin was like, let me roll down my window. Hello, governor. I'm an idiot. How are you? And they were like, yeah, we're police. And he looks and he's like, unmarked car. And they were like, yeah, but we have flashing lights. So that means that we're police.
Okay.
And they were wearing high visibility gear. So they weren't wearing police uniforms, but they were wearing those kinds of uniforms. So I don't know. He was stupid.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, so you need to like come and get in our car because you're in trouble. And he was like, sounds good to me. And he got in the back of the car and was like, wait, this isn't a cop car. This is a Volvo. I'm an idiot.
Oh no.
Yup.
Oh no.
Poor
Colin,
simple Colin, I know, had been kidnapped and was in deep shit. He was bound, driven for ages, thrown into the back of a white van, and then taken to a farm in Staplehurst.
Okay.
Back at Colin's home, his wife, Lynn, and young son, who was about 8, were enjoying what I'm sure was a disgusting English breakfast. I'm sorry to any Brits listening, but there is better food out there than beans on toast. Please get it
You've
together.
been sending me so many like British
so
meal
funny on
video TikTok
right
videos. I'm like, why?
It's so
I can tell when you get on a
funny.
kick of something, and it's been disgusting, like English
Horrible British food.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand. You guys eat like we're in a war. Like, you don't have to
constant
eat
war.
tinned preserved food anymore.
Mashed peas.
Order pizza.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, but they probably put bullshit on it.
They have chip shops too.
That's fine. But like, also, why are you putting vinegar on your fries?
I mean,
They need to calm down. Like, how did Gordon Ramsay come from there? People say he's a good cook.
I don't know, but he doesn't make English food.
He trained in
makes
France.
French
That's
food.
true. He had to leave England
Yeah.
to become a chef.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You guys need to get it together. Well, they heard a knock at the door where 2 men dressed as police officers greeted them with terrible news. Poor Colin had been involved in a terrible car accident, and the police were there to transport them to the scene. Quick note, if you're ever at home and the police come to your door asking you to come with them, you should absolutely call your local police station and ask them if there are supposed to be cops at your house.
Yeah.
This is a serious security tip. It takes 5 minutes. It could save your life. Like,
Yeah.
that you can order a police costume on Amazon. You can get a little card laminated. People are crazy.
Right.
So if cops come to your door, any kind of cop, just call the police and be like, hi, if I'm in trouble, I accept that. But like, are there cops supposed to be here?
Right.
And they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Same goes for if you get pulled over, especially if you're
Yeah.
a woman alone.
Next
Call
call
the
is to your
police.
attorney.
Absolutely. And shut up.
And shut up.
Don't say nothing.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing.
And this, again, was like an unmarked vehicle. Like, I don't blame Lynn
Right.
and the poor kid, of course, but like, it's hard to tell, you know? Once they got into the car, Colin's wife was like, God damn it, this is a Volvo. This is not a fucking cop car. But by
Right.
then it was too late, and they two were bound and driven to the same farm that Colin was at, where I bet she was like, you stupid idiot.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine how funny that conversation would be actually? Like, he's like, oh God, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so glad you're okay. And she's like, this is so weird that this happened because you have all that protocol you're supposed to do.
Oh my
and he's like,
God.
oh, I didn't do that. 'cause
Dude, he
I'm
was already having a
stupid."
bad day though.
I hope she, like, with her bound arms, like, elbowed the shit out of him. Like, idiot. Stupid.
Oh my god.
The gang threatened Colin with a gun, saying his family will die if he doesn't cooperate. They were very like
Damn.
verbally. I don't think they ever hurt the family.
Yeah.
He got like kind of thrown around a little bit.
Yeah.
But was okay
Yeah.
ultimately. I don't think they ever hurt them. But
Yeah,
like,
but like getting a gun waved in your face is not ideal.
they had AK-47s. It was like
Oh my
not
God.
a joke. I would
Yo.
be scared as fuck.
Yeah.
Colin was like, "Fuck this job. Yeah, I'll tell you, dude. Like, don't even worry about it." Which I think was the right answer. It's just money. Who cares? Money over lives.
Not
No.
even my money.
Right. Correct.
Not even
I'm not
mine.
even going to fight you.
Nope.
I don't get paid
Nope.
that much.
Nope.
I have this big important job and I have to drive a Nissan. Like, get out of here. So they loaded Colin up. Well, they loaded all of them up. And on Wednesday, February 22nd, 2006, the Merry Gang rolled off to Securitas Depot with a giant lorry truck, which is like a delivery truck.
Right. Like the box kind of.
Yeah, like not a huge one,
Yeah,
like a
like the
little one.
vans. It's more like the vans,
Yeah, like a
right?
moving van, pretty
Yeah,
much, like a
yeah.
teeny tiny one. Ready to be stuffed with cash. Colin was forced to give clearance, and he and one gang member, like he took one of them in with him, forced staff at gunpoint to open the loading gate. At least 6 masked men went in and started loading up cash. Now I feel like anyone who has ever worked anywhere, this might be kind of morbid, but we do live in America,
Right.
has wondered from time to time, but like, what if this place gets robbed? Like, what am I going to do? Is that not normal? I do have severe anxiety.
Sometimes. No.
that an inside
I've
thought?
definitely thought about.
I mean, not in a
Yeah.
hopeful way, but
Here's
like,
the thing. I think
you know.
no. My thought more often, which again, this is America, but it's like, what if somebody walks in here with a gun? What am I going to
completely.
do?
Oh, completely.
Which is becoming more reasonable, which
Right.
is also super depressing. But
Fuck
like,
this place.
you know, that's more what you think because
You know that blink if you need help, I'm blinking.
Yeah, right.
Someone get me out of here.
Right.
Yeah. But like exactly, like you have those thoughts from time
For
to time,
sure.
and it's kind
For
of like,
sure.
what would I do?
Yeah.
And I'm always, I said it before, I'm always of the opinion, I don't care where you work. It's just a job. Give them the money. It's okay. The job will have insurance. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Don't worry about being a hero. Because a lot of times heroes get shot anyways.
Yeah.
So like, girl, just do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, all over the bank, the depot, because it's this big government building, there were so many like security buttons and like hidden alarms and stuff like that under all the desks and everything. And nobody pressed anything. None of them. There were a ton of employees there. Nobody pressed anything. I think that it's kind of weird.
Okay.
To be honest. There's a theory. I don't really go into it, and he was never prosecuted.
You think people paid off to not press?
So there was a theory that Colin knew about it. There were a couple of things that were like circumstantial, but like I think either he was a big dumb idiot or he knew about it and was involved. Because
I see.
He was like,
I see.
There was supposed to be like an inspection and he pushed it off. There was supposed to be, it was stuff like, I can't remember exactly, but it was like there was supposed to be more security and he was like, don't even worry about that right now. Like, not in a way that he could get in trouble for it, but like a lot of these things came together at the same time.
Yeah.
So like Colin, I'm sure he listens. Colin, if you're listening, I'm not accusing you, but like it kind of seems like you did it.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
That's just a theory that's out
It's
there.
just a theory.
Okay.
He was questioned, and there are a lot of people like me who believe that he was in on it, but he's not in trouble or anything.
Right, right.
He's out living his life with his wife, who I'm sure is fucking mad at him.
Okay.
She's like, idiot.
Huh.
But I just think it's weird. So there was one employee, I thought this was really funny. So the money is kept, the money that's already been packed is kept in these like metal cages. They look like little like Minecraft blocks. Like they're really cute.
Okay.
And to pick them up, they have like a forklift type of thing.
Right.
Like a little lift drivery thing. And the robbers, who were very scary, all wearing ski masks, had giant AK-47s, were like, employee, go work this thing and get us the money. The employee who was like forklift certified or whatever kept crashing it into shit. It was like, oh no, oops, I guess I can't get the money. And they were like,
Panic
get
driving.
the money. And he was like, no, he was trying to not do it. He was like,
see.
I just can't drive this forklift. I don't really know how. Like, so he was kind of trying, which I was like, the
see.
balls
Playing
on that
coy.
dude.
Playing
yes.
coy.
I was like,
Okay.
I love that.
Respect.
So they ended up like
Respect.
dragging him off, and one of the robbers was like, "Oh, I can figure this out," and like they figured it out, kind of.
Okay.
So they started like throwing cops.
Oh,
cops.
God.
No cops. They started throwing cash.
Oh.
Sorry, I was looking at my paper and talking at the same time. It doesn't work out very well.
I've done that. Don't worry.
I think that's kind of what we do here. So they got away with tons of steel boxes stuffed with cash, leaving the employees, Colin, and Colin's wife and child all stuck inside. They had like cages there where they would keep the money. So the robbers locked everyone in the cages. And it was like shitty because they locked everyone in the cages, like pretty much knowing, like assuming they wouldn't be able to call.
Yeah.
Like until the next shift came. So I was like, fuck you, like jerks.
Right.
But they were able to, they figured out how to get out. I don't know, maybe they had a button or something, and call the police right away. They were like, don't call the police. So they called the police right away.
So they called the police.
As soon as they were able to get out, which it took a little bit, but they got out.
Sure.
Luckily, government building, there were cameras all over the place. Unluckily, the gang all wore ski masks. Police began searching for the robbers, which actually wasn't that tricky because they were stupid as fuck. Mm-hmm. All of these robbers were stupid.
Okay.
One of the robbers was literally caught at a local bank trying to deposit like 6,000 pounds.
Oh.
But of course, it was the same money. They hadn't like laundered it. So it's all like stamped.
Oh, yeah.
With like Securitas Depos.
Yeah.
I'm stolen. And they were like, how did you get this?
Yeah. Fresh
Yep.
dollars in sequential
Hot off the presses.
numbers.
They were like, this smells fresh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why are these all in order?
Like
Jeez.
idiot.
Okay.
They found one of the, because I talked about the lorry truck, but they also came in like a separate vehicle, and they within the gang they used like a bunch of vehicles later to like transport all the money and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. So they found like the getaway car in the parking lot of a local pub where it had money and guns and ski masks.
Okay.
And then they found the lorry truck in the parking lot of another pub where it also had like really incriminating shit left in it. Like, come on.
Okay.
Come on. Like, let's get a drink while we drop off this truck. Like, shut up.
Also, you should burn those hats. They got your DNA all over the inside of them.
They should have done a lot of things.
Okay.
They didn't do anything. These were the dumbest idiots. The cops found 14 steel cages, which were used to hold the money, scattered through the cars, in random farmers' fields, and in other dumb fucking places.
They just like chucked them while they were driving.
Around. Yep. They also found thousands and thousands of pounds stuffed into dumpsters, under a fallen tree, and in the houses of the members who were mostly quickly arrested because they were going around flashing cash and being stupid.
I hope that you were hiding money in a dumpster.
Yeah, they found I think it was 11,000 pounds put into and I'm like, oh my God.
No one's going to suspect this tree stump.
I'm going to dumpster dive more often.
Yeah, maybe there will be thousands and thousands of dollars in there.
New spring hobby.
Oh, God.
There was one sexy little car chase where police had to shoot out one of the robbers' tires. Very exciting.
Oh.
Yeah. But that was pretty much the rest of it. They didn't really have to do anything. Wow. They were like, oh, is this guy trying to buy things for millions of dollars?
He definitely shouldn't have.
Arrested. All in all, the robbers had stolen 53 million pounds, making it the second largest money heist in the world at that time.
Holy shit.
It's still on the top 10 list, but I think it got knocked down a few points.
Yeah.
Out of the 53 million, 32 million has still not been recovered.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they were just putting it in holes.
Right.
In fields.
So it's one where this was partially aligned with organized crime. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of people who were kind of involved. There were 6 core members, I think, who actually went to the bank.
Yeah.
And of those 6, I think they have 4 and then they've arrested other people. There was a woman whose house they were staying in who was being dumb idiot and they caught her. But there are 2 of the robber people that they believe are in the West Indies and or Cyprus. Probably with $32 million.
Oh my God. Okay.
A really interesting and kind of sad detail is because they hid all the money so shittily. And this was obviously a huge deal in the British press and the world press because it was so dumb.
Right.
Farmers who lived in the area reported increased criminal activity because people would come on their land and be like, I'm going to dig on your property to find the rest of the money. And they're like, we don't have any.
Please stop coming here.
Go away.
Please go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy. So Colin got fired because he's dumb. Everyone in the story
because he broke protocol, probably.
Well, because he was stupid. Oh man, the cop thing really annoys me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why would you get out of your car? You're really dumb. And just all of them were dumb. That's my favorite thing about this case is everything that
everybody was dumb.
Is when this guy got pulled over, he had 6 AK-47s, a steel cage of bank money, and a robber mask, and handcuffs and stuff. And I'm like, what? Hello? They said organized crime was involved, but I'm like, you guys did not send your A-team.
Yeah.
And somehow they were able to pull this off, and 32 million pounds is just floating around in the British air.
Honestly, once you get that kind of money offshore.
Yeah. Oh, it's gone.
It is very hard to recover.
Absolutely.
Very, very difficult to recover. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Everyone in that case is stupid.
I mean, these are all problems that I don't have to worry about. Those are types of problems I will never have.
That's true.
Where to put my money.
That is very true. Under your mattress.
Under my
Actually, fun fact, don't do that because mold collects under your mattress.
No, I'll just put it in a bank. It's fine. It's fine. That was great. That was really interesting. Oh my gosh. Well, before you decide to rob a bank, first of all, don't.
Just burn off your fingerprints with a hair straightener.
No. No. But maybe check out this podcast.
Hello, this is Margot P.
And this is Margot D. And we are the Margos.
We are the Margos, co-hosts of the Book versus Movie podcast. We are the podcast that talks about films that are adapted from books. We read the book, we watch the movie, and then we decide which we like better, the book or the movie.
Now, I know what you guys are going to say. Duh, the book is always better than the movie. To which we always reply, have you ever read Jaws?
We are not film experts or literary geniuses.
Nope, we're just two friends who like to chat about books and movies.
We really like to go for a deep dive into the history of the book and the background of the author and the trivia from the movie set.
And most of all, we just like to have fun, so we never take ourselves or the books or movies too seriously.
You can find us wherever you sign up for your podcast under the name Book versus Movie.
And on social media, you can find us at Book versus and Movies. You just spell it all out.
Hope you check us out soon.
Well, that's it. That's our show.
That's it. Get out.
We did it. We did a show. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more just like this at badtastepodcast.com.
Yes.
Other than that,
Get out.
Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say before we close out? Any final thoughts?
Even if you're dumb, you too can make money through larceny. Reach for the stars.
No, we're not endorsing. We're not endorsing crime.
JK,
We're not endorsing
just
crime.
kidding. Don't rob a bank. It's so silly. Don't do that.
Our sound and editing is by Tiff Fullman. Our music is by Jason Zakshevsky, the Enigma.
Woo!
This has been the Bad Taste Crime Podcast. We will see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Women had left their bodies on the hillsides along the highway.
It was as if a wave of evil washed over this town.
We are all people in some form or another.